It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my close pal, the man with the plan, the one and only, John Meleka. Before we ask John how he's doing, you all know the drill. If you listen to this podcast and you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review, comment, whatever you would call it. It just helps out oh so greatly. We're also partnered with Minute Media and Fanside, so you can find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. We also got a YouTube, Knicks coming, Jets coming, etc. period. Find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, hit the like button, leave a comment, add to the conversation. We all want to know your thoughts and opinions. It's going to keep more Donovan Mitchell talk today, all right? We're going to keep it going. We got other stuff. We got to talk about all the major media outlets just slandering the crap out of the Knicks as always. We want to know your thoughts and opinions as well. And while you're over at the YouTube channel, we got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, and our guy and co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every sport possible. So if you need to put money down on the line, these guys got you covered. They're also partnered with Minute Media. So make sure to go check them out. You can go take them on the road, wherever it may be. If you need to make, if you got to make sure you got to gamble, there's no excuse. And then last, and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there. John, my bro, my main man. How you doing today, my man? How you feeling?
Good, dude.
How can you feel good? How can you feel good? It is a national crisis, my man.
I feel
Jesus
great.
and Mero are not together. How can you feel good?
Dude, as you pointed out, with Jesus and Mero, our boys, it was a long time coming. They've been dropping some hints on the timeline, and it all started on Twitter, and it all ended on Twitter. It looks like they gave us some messages. It was kind of foreseen, but dude, they went out not only interviewing Derek Jeter, but also hosting/narrating the entire Captain series for ESPN. I mean, what a way to go out. So shout out to Jesus and Mero. Hopefully they do some Yankee highlights, whether it's together or not. That's fine. Double the, Jesus one and a Mero one, whatever. That's fine with me. But speaking of baseball, dude, I was in Canada this weekend. I had a wedding. I went to the Toronto Blue Jays game by myself. Shout out to them because, I was staying in the city. I took the airport right there. I was like walking back and forth. It's pretty awesome to be able to just like walk to the game, walk back to the hotel. Like, honestly, I could have walked to the airport, Bishop City right there. It was really cool. It was funny. I was talking with the security guard. $40, row 3, right behind the visitors' bullpen, which happened to be the Royals. I was talking to the security guard. There were so many kids around, like literal children. And he's like, oh, it's junior day, junior Blue Jays day or whatever. But he's saying generally there are a lot of kids. He's like, why? It's different in the Bronx? I'm like, dude, in the bleachers by the bullpen, like where we are right now, especially the visitors' bullpen, like there's literally
yuck.
There's not only are there no children allowed, basically, to the point where they made a no alcohol section like right in the outfield. So just in case like kids want to go, in the outfield, they won't be interacting.
The bleacher creatures, Yankee Stadium bleacher creatures are on another level. If you've never experienced it, God bless you.
it was really funny to see the difference. We were just like chopping it up a little bit. So that was cool. So that's Jesus and Mero, and the baseball side of things, man. But what's really important here is the New York Knicks, dude. First of all, shout out to them for going to the Summer League chip, bro. I'm mad that they didn't win it. I honestly am upset that they didn't win it. But shout out to them, man. Grimes making the first team, dude, hell of a weekend, man. Hell of a weekend for the Knicks. Well, we'll get to the rumors, but for my sports, in my sports world, life is pretty good right now. Even NYCFC doing okay. Unfortunately, Tati is going to get transferred, as our boy Jordan Griffith has been talking about, looking like he's going to La Liga. There goes my prop bet for top goals. What are you going to do? He's getting transferred. But how you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. Outside of the DC Mero news, I'm still doing all right, surviving. It was a good day, man. Still woke up a good day and then got that news. I was like, because they got me through tough times, bro. They got me through tough times. I cannot say they didn't. I remember they were on ESPN. I was like, who are these dudes? And then I watched their entire season 1 catalog. I then subscribed to their podcast. That their shit was fire, bro. It's sad that they're going out this way, but sticking with the Knicks, I'm all right, man. Guess what? Like you said, they were in summer league. Summer league championship. Like that's a good accomplishment for this team.
Oh, yeah, man.
They showed out, even though they laid a goose egg for 3 quarters during summer league. It was still good repetition to see how far Jericho Sims, Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride have all come in their development and how much farther they have to go. I thought it was a decent showing to a certain degree, especially towards the fourth quarter. You saw them starting to clamp up, but that turning point, man, when Grimes got fouled and fell to the ground, they didn't call it. That was the whole game changer. Then you had Weatherford just come down or Watford. You had Watford come down and just go ham on the New York Knicks. So it was a good showing. Happy about it. Shout out to Dice Yoshimoto. Good development for our young guys. Hopefully that all translate into this upcoming season. But now we're without basketball again for quite some time. So that's a little sad. But yeah, shout out to Quentin Grimes for being on the first team All Summer League team. Keegan Murray is the Summer League MVP. That kid's a dog, bro. That kid is a dog. He is nice. But yeah, we're done with Summer League, man.
In Sacramento, dude. We all know it.
I hope not, because he's good.
I know, but it's just a fact. There's too many players in Sacramento. He's just gonna get buried. We'll see what happens.
They got to figure it out, man. They got to figure it out. But this is not a Kings podcast. This is a Knicks podcast. So let's get some quick overall thoughts on Summer League. I'll let you go first.
Well, dude, I mean, as much as I love Quentin Grimes, and I do think that he absolutely shined and developed his game. I mean, I just wanted everyone to take one step back. He was playing against inferior players, right? But at the same time, man, it is worth something because, hey, when IQ was here last year, he was trying to develop into this point guard situation and it didn't work, right? And we said, oh, it's just a couple games. He didn't really have time. We made up all these excuses. It kind of did show in the regular season. Now we have Grimes in here, and he showed out. He did everything we asked of him. He was a little fast, right? He's a little quick. Maybe that's, against the Summer League players. I don't think he's going to be able to take people off the dribble like he was. He had an amazing first step in the Summer League. He made he was not even trying to be 3-and-D. That was his backup, right? In the league, he's going to be more of a 3-and-D guy. But it's just great that he shows that he can do it. Tibbs was at a lot of those games. So, you want to show out in front of your coach, man. Even if you're playing against, fifth graders, right? You want to show out against, right in front of your coach because, you see it, you believe it, right? Especially in basketball, especially with Tibbs, man, right? We see that, especially, think about Cam Reddish, for a nice example. Think about IQ, 2 people last year that it was really, if you see it, you believe it. From Tibbs' eyes, so definitely Grimes. Hunt, we were a little down on him going into the Summer League. Why does this guy have a roster spot? We could put somebody else in there. Hunt is fine. No problem. I like him at the end of our bench. I think he can step up in emergency situations. I'm gonna have fun watching him in Westchester. Honestly, he's gonna be great. McBride, he's good. As usual, I love McBride. I love how he keeps the ball close to him. He plays good defense. He can hit a shot. But honestly, it looks like he's buried, man. It looks like he's buried deep into our depth chart. It looks like he's going to be a goner. We'll get to that in a little bit, probably in the hypothetical Mitchell trade. But he did well. But also our rookie, he's fine too. Our main man, David Zenon, today tweeted basically keep that same energy. People talking smack about our draft pick this year. So we trust in him. He was right about everybody else so far, whether good or bad regarding the players. So we'll see how that develops. But this is all gonna be about my boy Jericho Sims, man. Jericho Sims. He calmed down a little bit, right? That seems to happen. See, because it seems like he's a high energy type of guy, and sometimes when you bring that energy and you quote unquote want it more than the other player, it kind of shows, and you're able to get that extra step, that extra inch, and you're able to play that free safety position, go from the block to the half court, jump up and get those rebounds, alley-oops, but it tends to slow down after a while, and so. It's nice for us as Knicks fans to maybe take a step back and be like, okay, maybe he's not our starter. Okay, Mitch is actually going to be our starter, and maybe he's not even our backup, right? Let's give Hartenstein a chance, right? Let's see what he has. But we do know that if he gets 10 minutes, fresh 10 minutes right now, he could be absolutely spectacular in those 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And then he doesn't have to play for the rest of the game, take a night off the next game, and then all of a sudden comes back another 10 minutes, important. Maybe Mitch is in foul trouble. Maybe Hartenstein, slacks a little bit. We know that Jericho Sims can get in there. So honestly, all positive thoughts, which is amazing. Right? Usually you come out of a summer league, you're like, oh man, IQ, I don't know. Come out, a couple of years ago, it's like Shumpert, I'm not sure. We always have issues coming out of the summer league. This year feels really positive.
For sure, I agree with that. It's very positive. I think from what you can get from most, and you summarize it, even though you broke down every single player, is that someone has at least can have a defined role at some point in the NBA, which is a success of itself. Most of the league is role players. So if you have role players that are looking good and are able to show out and get yourself into the summer league champ, it's a good indication of how well your development staff is. 2, how smart and how talented the guys that you drafted are. And 3, it should just be a stepping stone in the right direction, right? It's oh wow, we got a team that knows how to draft
and develop.
Yeah,
we're seeing our develop players.
That's big, man. That's big. And so when you talk about even doing these hypothetical Donovan Mitchell trades, not you specifically, but
we'll get kids can
develop, we're about to get into that. But when you see that your talent is starting to develop, you can now say, hey, because teams know that you're not going to get an all-star in return for an all-star. It's very rare that you go get a Ben Simmons for a James Harden. That rarely ever happens. Usually what happens is that you trade an all-star. What you get in return are some quality role players, maybe even high quality role players, right? That's what you get in return. And so the fact that the Knicks can develop just quality role players is good when you're trying to make a deal with a team like the Utah Jazz. And they're like, hey, they got something that we need, especially when we're a rebuilding team. So with that being said, let's get into these Donovan Mitchell talks, because John,
the elephant in the room.
It is not only the elephant in the room, but my God, the talking points surrounding this has just been grossed by major media outlets.
Do I have to say it?
You don't have to say. I mean,
it's Knicks for clicks, bro. This is it. And not only are you going to be, poking the Knicks fans, the entire NBA wants to see what happens with Donovan Mitchell. Everybody's interested in this. This is not just, we can poke at Knicks fans, kind of get them mad, put out a list or something, say RJ Barrett stinks, and, get them all riled up. No, everybody in the league, if you write the words Donovan Mitchell at all, and especially if you add New York Knicks, it's going to get zillions of clicks. And they know it. Even the big dogs right now, man, it hurts to say, they're just making stuff up.
But the thing is, it's not making stuff up as how difficult. I don't know. It's actually, let me say,
no, they are making.
What's
stuff.
Annoying? Here's what's annoying is because there's the lack of nuance that goes into this analysis saying, oh, like you have Tim Bontemps like, oh, this is a fireable offense if Leon Rose didn't get it. You have Max Kellerman out here saying, oh, well, what does it do if you get Donovan Mitchell on this team? You're not a championship contender, but yet this is the same dude that's like, oh, well, they haven't been an attractive star for God knows how long. It's like, okay, so now they can attract a star, but now the issue is that they won't be a championship contender. What happened to just being relevant for a time period and then building off of that?
Well, first of all, shout out to Alan Hahn. Shout out to Alan for putting Max Kellerman in his place, dude.
Shout out to Alan Hahn for sticking for Knicks fans. But then you also have people like, and like we have talks over at the Ringer saying, I don't even know, like, does it make sense? The Knicks don't usually have a plan. It seems like if they just get Donovan Mitchell, there's not a plan. It's like, okay, so now they don't have a plan. Why get Donovan Mitchell? If Leon Rose doesn't get Donovan Mitchell, it's all hell or high water. Like, come on, like it is like all over the place in analysis, man. There's no hey, in this scenario, this is why the Knicks should move for Donovan Mitchell. In this scenario, this is why the Knicks should not move for Donovan Mitchell. It is just such hyperbolic takes, but this is what comes with the territory of covering the Knicks. And I'm going to say this. Shout out to Knicks Film School. Shout out to Jonathan Macri, who interviewed Richard Jefferson, and he said it perfectly. The dude said it perfectly. Richard Jefferson said the Knicks, they need these media outlets need the major media market teams to do well. And when you're like ESPN, when you're like the Ringer, when you're like anybody and you have an office in New York, the easiest team right there, that's the largest team, is the New York Knicks. And so when they're relevant, they get the numbers going up. When they're bad, they still need to talk about them because one, there's just general big interest about the team, but it just generates interest. Like you could write a bad, terrible article, put the Knicks at like number 32 on the list, talk poorly about RJ Barrett, and someone's going to read it. It's going to get you the retweets. It's going to get you everything. So it's not shocking that we're just getting this, to some of them, just like it's just non-nuanced takes, just non-nuanced takes. But let's break all of this down, man, because I need to hear from you. Because my thoughts on the situation as a true attorney when it comes to Donovan Mitchell, it depends.
Of course. It depends. That's always your answer. What's the price?
Yeah, what's the price? It depends. What's the situation? So let me ask you this question. Let's start off with this. Is it all or nothing when it comes to Donovan Mitchell?
What do you mean?
Like, does Leon Rose have to get Donovan Mitchell? And if he doesn't, he should be fired.
Well, we know that's not the case because of how the narrative has been presented to us. We know that the Jazz have an offer and the Knicks have an offer, and they both rejected it, right? One asked for too much and one asked for too little. So we know that if Leon Rose actually felt that pressure, he would have pulled the trigger. Because what the hell does he care about 2027? Honestly, like if you're telling me I'm going to get fired if I don't get Donovan Mitchell, why on earth would I care about a 2027 pick? Logically, he doesn't. So, in my opinion, Leon Rose believes he's part of the future. That's why he's kind of saying pick one. If you want a bunch of players, take them. But you're not going to also take the draft picks. If you want a bunch of draft picks and you don't think our protected picks are worth anything, too bad. You're not getting unprotected Knicks picks and the players that you want. It's just not happening. So it's like Utah, you're going to have to now decide like what you believe is more valuable. If you want to ask me from a leverage standpoint, and I feel like that's the big question, especially on Knicks Twitter land, who has the leverage? And that's what everyone's yelling about constantly all day. If you're asking me, man, I believe that Donovan Mitchell has the leverage. Because what is the worst possible case scenario for Donovan Mitchell? He holds out and becomes a Ben Simmons, or he's like, listen, I'm just not going to play right now, or I'm gonna hold out, and then you're like, okay, now we're just not going to pay you. No problem. I don't think that's a problem. Then that's the worst case scenario. Then all the leverage is gone from Utah. Then they're going to take pennies on the dollar for him. right? Because now it's like a really big problem. So the longer this holds out, the better Leon Rose is. In my opinion, the reason why all this stuff is out here, man, is because Danny Ainge knows how to rock the boat. He knows how to rock Dolan. He's seen it before where literally the fans and the media went so hard for Melo that Dolan went in and said, you better get this done right now. Like that doomsday scenario that you just put up. And so Danny Ainge wants to spark that again. He's like, dude, we need them to come closer to me. We're not getting the picks that we want. And so we're negotiating against ourselves. And I think that to answer your question, I know it's a little long here, but to answer your question, this is not a do or die for Leon Rose. Because if it was, he would have pulled the trigger. It's obvious by the way he's interacting, by what Danny Ainge is putting out in the media, that that's actually not the case at all.
I agree. And I don't see that being do or die for Leon Rose either. And, you know, I agree with your point, especially with the fact that how he's operating. Like if he needed to get it done now, it would have gotten done right now.
Why not?
Like that's a fact.
You go 2027 unprotected, bro? Go ahead. I'm gone in 2023.
That's a fact.
Get you.
Yeah, it's a fact. Like he would have had to do that right now. But at the same time, like I also like, and I'm also going to say, I think Dolan also has learned from that Melo time where he's like, wow. And I'm sure Leon Rose is like, do you remember what happened to Melo? Like when that team didn't have enough assets to build around him. Like we do not need that again if we're going to go try to get Donovan Mitchell. Now, I don't see it as that. I said that on Knicks Fan TV yesterday. I don't see this as a do or die situation because the way that you listen to like Tim Bontem's like Leon Rose should be fired. I don't see Leon Rose needing to be fired for this, man. Like, look at this. If as of right now, if you look around the league, OKC has the most draft picks, then the New York Knicks. After that, I don't know, but it's not even close. It's just not even close. We know Miami, there's the looming Pat Riley issue. As of right now, the best offers can be Max Strus with Tyler Hero and 2 first-rounders. The Knicks can blow that out of the water, all right? The Knicks can easily blow that out of the water. I believe Danny Ainge, as you said, he knows how to rock the boat. And he also knows how to negotiate through the media. So I see him trying to say, all right, let me see, because let's just be real. Danny Ainge is not going to work with the Miami Heat. All right. Him and Pat Riley actually have beef. So let's cut that out right now. So let's look at this. He's probably trying to use Pat Riley, saying, let's see if Pat Riley can ante up. Can he get another team involved? Can he get another draft pick? Can he get another player for me? Because if that's the case, then I know the Knicks, who really want Donovan Mitchell, will have to ante up. And maybe I get what I want in the end. But as of right now, it's difficult. And I think teams around the league, unless something's very sweet for Miami to get something out of this, or for the other team, I don't see anyone really going in to go help Miami. Like, what do they offer? Who are they going to offer?
Well, on that point, I am nervous about the prospect of trading Harrell for a first-round pick, and then them getting that extra pick. So it's no money for Utah and an extra pick. Like that, I would be a little worried about, being honest.
Yeah, I hear you, but still, like, so then you got to move Hero to get that extra pick. Now it's 3 picks.
Or Robinson. Maybe you move Robinson for a pick. You know what I mean?
Robinson's value is in the tank, and I saw that. I saw that rumor where the Heat want, or someone believes that the value of Duncan Robinson is one as a first-round unprotected pick. I don't believe that. Man didn't even play.
I know. I agree with you, but who knows? Maybe somebody desperately just needs a 3-point shooter. You know, a team that's going to be in the bottom half or bottom quarter of the first round anyway. That just scares me, personally. That scares me. But if you really want that, then why are you hating so much on the Knicks protected picks? Right? It has to work both ways. And,
yes.
To your point, just to feedback of 2 things you said. One, I believe that Leon Rose is way more linked to Jalen Brunson than he is to Donovan Mitchell, right? On the point of if Brunson fails, Leon Rose is going to get fired. Right. But if we don't get Mitchell, I don't believe that's a fireable offense. And the second point, go ahead.
No, I like the other thing. No, finish your second point.
I was going to say on the second point with Dolan, right? Because everyone loves to hate on Dolan, right? And then if you want to be fair, you say the Rangers look good. So, it's obviously not Dolan. But let's forget all that. Let's stick with Dolan and the Knicks and the Melo situation. Dude, at the end of the day, the Knicks only make more money if we make the playoffs. Like the seats can't get any more expensive, right? The concessions can't get any more expensive. The Knicks make more money the more playoff games they have. It's very simple math. So he just needs more playoff games. So if he's going to sell his future for playoff games, he'll take that. You know what I'm saying? That's more revenue. But to get rid of all the players and not win playoff games, that literally is a loss for the Knicks because they're not going to, they lose their assets on the court and the players, but also they're not making more money revenue-wise. So he's a smart guy, but at least when it comes to business, you know what I mean? That's what I really do think he learned from the Melo trade. It's like, it's not worth it. I don't gain any money. We don't win playoff games like this.
Yeah, it's a
That's
fact.
what it's about. Not championship, playoff games. Max Kellerman, learn the business, dude. It's about playoff games. Like, yes, if we went to the semifinals, if we went to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost every single year, the NBA would be ecstatic, dude. Ecstatic. Like the numbers would be crazy. Dolan would be incredibly happy. Knicks fans would be over the boat. Yes, just make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that's a fantastic goal to have. I don't see that is such an issue. That's like saying, the Jets making it to the AFC Championship. Like, how bad is that? Or the Mets making it to the World Series. Like, how stupid is that? What are you talking about, man? Like, this is like, not everybody is the Lakers, the Celtics, the Yankees. It just doesn't work like that. You know what I mean?
Nah, it's a fact. And like, as fans, like, you'll be upset when that loss happens. But like, for business wise, if you're from like a league standpoint, you're happy. You're happy that your major market made it even that far. But the thing that I want to also mention when it comes to like Leon Rose and why it's not a do or die is that we've seen, let's go back. We've seen Paul George get traded, right? Not once, twice. We've seen Russell Westbrook get traded. We've seen James Harden get traded. We've seen Ben Simmons get traded. We've seen Kawhi get traded. All right. We've now just seen Rudy Gobert get traded. All right. How many times have we seen superstars just get moved and they're like, we don't want to be here anymore, man? Chris Paul got moved. Like, didn't want to be, he got moved. Like, all these dudes get moved. And so when I hear someone's like, this is it for, it's like, nah, like there's going to be another star that comes up that if the Knicks don't spend their capital now, they're probably just going to get more capital and they're going to have the even greater leverage to go get somebody who they want. You know what I mean?
But the whole thing is, Alex, there's no more free agents. So cap space is honestly invaluable right now because for the next at least 2-3 years, there's no huge free agents. So it has to be disgruntled players. So maybe Danny Ainge could use that as leverage. Like, hey, there's no free agents. I know that. You know that. Also, there's no more disgruntled players coming down the list here. So you got to take Mitchell. If I'm the Knicks, I mean, we kind of both know that, right? Like, the Knicks and Leon Rose, we all know what's going on. We all know this trade kind of has to happen. I don't think it's do or die. And I guess the two questions, right, becomes how many picks, but we could argue that till I think we're blue in the face.
Dude, it's not like look, honestly, like my limit minimum is got like if you can get for 4, very impressive.
4
5
what? 4 what?
We want to specify the picks?
No. Like, are we talking the protected? Because you could have all 4 protected picks right now in a sandwich, no problem. I don't care.
100%. But like, here's my thing. Like, even with the Knicks unprotected, if you're the Knicks, right?
Can I protect them top 3, or is everyone gonna like make fun of me if I say that? Because
that's fine.
I like to say I'm protected, but like, just give me the top 3, just in case, and let me have fun on lottery night. Like, I would love top 4 protected because the 4 is the magic number in the new lottery system. Like, if I can get top 4 protected, they can have all of them. Like, they can have up to the 27 that they want. For me, honestly, because if it's a 7, whatever, we suck at drafting from like 5 to 15. We stink anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
you can't say it, but you can't say that, bro. With how we just seen the last couple of drafts.
Everybody's late. Obi was 5, right? So
Obi was 8.
Oh, 8. So I guess that kind of counts in that he was good. But we're good at drafting later rather than I think early. You know what I'm saying? Middle of the pack. It just I believe that we have better scouts for like Mitchell Robinson, Jericho Sims, even Quentin Grimes, IQ. Like, everybody's late. You know what I mean? Now, of course, RJ, that was an easy one. Obi, yeah, it was a scout, but it was also CA. We kind of all knew it was going to happen, right? I don't know. I don't mind if it's like a top 4 protected. You take them. You want. I'll give you 8 picks. I'll give you the 4 4 Knicks protected right in a row that we can give top 4, and you can have the 4. That's 8 picks, bro. Have all 8. But then you can't have all my players too, man. You just can't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like you can't have it both ways if you're Danny Ainge. But my thing is like, if I'm the Knicks too, like I gotta look at it from the standpoint, like if I'm getting Donovan Mitchell, I know I'm a playoff team. So what's the likelihood that that pick is hopping into the lottery if I'm making the playoffs?
Exactly. That's why I don't care. Like don't lottery protect. Just top 4. So give me your trade. Like give me from the unprotected and the protected. Just like what's your limit here? That's my limit, honestly. I'll give you 8. That but it has to be that way. Like you want to do the top 4 protected for the 4 consecutive that we can trade. No swaps. Screw you. You can't have this all. You can have to choose, right? So like you have the 4, and you can have the 4 protected. That's 8 draft picks. Go home, tell all your friends, tell all your family. You got 8 draft picks, including 4 from the Knicks, right? Like everyone's gonna be happy with that. But you can't have all my players too.
I hear you on that. I think my max is definitely 6. Minimum would be 4. Somewhere in between there, man. And I'd make it sweet. I'd give up like 2, 3 unprotected Knicks picks. Like if I'm going to go west, because if I have the others.
If you want to go unprotected and like that, you could have 2. I don't know if I'm going 3, man. I really don't. I it's too much for me. Like you have the 4 protected and give me 2 unprotected, no problem. That's 6. But
I usually say
3 unprotected. Dude, that's a lot.
I usually say 2 unprotected, 1 top 5 protected when it comes to the Knicks picks. That's usually what I say for the 3. And then the other 3, you could just take the other protected. Take the other picks. You want some second rounders? Throw in some second rounders. Go make yourself happy and go home. All right. Because honestly, like at that point, like you're doing a whole rebuild anyway. It's not like you didn't get nothing from Minnesota, and it's not like they're able to sign everybody either. I know they're going to try to trade, but does anyone really want to go to Utah? Like how many big stars have gone signed out to Utah? Right?
Yeah. No, you're right.
How many stars have left Utah? Let's look at Deron Williams, right? Let's look at Gordon Hayward. Now Rudy Gobert's out of there. You're gonna have Donovan Mitchell even. So they all leave, but no one attends. What does that tell you? What are you trying to trade for if you're Utah? What are you trying to do?
Draft picks. I agree with you. So
you got to draft.
I mean, I think we're in agreement. Like the 6 to 8, mostly being all protect the not ours. If you want just our picks, it's going to be 2 unprotected. If we were going to protect them, you could have an extra 1. Okay, like that's kind of where we're leaning here. But let's just talk about the players a little bit, man, because I feel like that's really where the infighting, we'll call it, the Knicks family infighting, I believe is happening. Whether honestly it's in the front office, whether it's with Knicks Twitter, and whether it's with Danny Ainge. I really do believe all the fighting here. I know we're made to believe it's about the picks. I honestly do believe it's about the players, because that's where the relationships are. And you know that this front office is all about relationships. I don't think it's as easy as people make it seem for the New York Knicks to trade Obi Toppin, their boy, their CAA guy that they drafted. I don't think it's as easy as people think to trade IQ, their boy from Kentucky that they drafted. I don't think it's that easy I think it's a little bit easier, but I don't think it's really that easy for them to say, hey, Julius Randle, get out of here. We're good with you. I also don't think it's easy for them to trade Grimes, because he's that guy that they finally looks like they developed. Like what's your take on the farm that they want players wise? Okay. Who are you okay to give up, dude? Like I warn you of 2 things. I warn you of Shumpert, of how we're not going to trade Shumpert for anyone ever, right? And then look what happened. We're not going to trade Alonzo Trier for anyone, no matter who the superstar is. I don't care if it's LeBron James in his prime. Like, look what happened. And then I also remind you that all of our draft picks that we trade that are unprotected turn into superstars, right? Like Gordon Hayward, like the list goes on and on and on about the players.
Jamal Murray,
everyone, dude. It's just like there's not even to get into it because it hurts so bad. So, what's your take on the players, man? Well, who are you willing to lose for Donovan Mitchell on top of the draft picks?
I'm okay. Like honestly, like it hurt. Like I love all the kids that were drafted. They're all great. I
It's
want
Knicks
to see them
syndrome.
play more.
That's Knicks fan syndrome.
Yeah, of
Bro. We all
course,
have it.
man.
We
And
love
look,
Frank.
and that's
We
the
love
and that's
Trier.
the thing. I was a little,
We
I
love
was a little
Landry
bored.
Fields.
I was a little,
We love.
I was a little bit more easier to move on Frank, honestly, than than the other guy. That's another story. But look, when it comes down to like these guys and what they've shown so far, it's pretty difficult to say because I'm a fan too, right? Like as much as I try to stay neutral, I'm a fan. You know, we're Yankees fans. We're known for like remember that core four, even though it was like really a five that everyone keeps referencing. Like we saw them come up through, even though we were young, they came up through the farm system. They then won their rings, and you're like, yes, this is what you want. And as Knicks fans, as New Yorkers, that we're like that. It's that true hard hat, blue collar, pick up your lunch pail, go to work type thing. They want to see the guys. We want to see our young guys put in that work, get better, stay as a unit, and then win together too. That's what we want to see. The reality is it can't stay that way. I'm comfortable with moving anyone that's needed. Not everyone outside of RJ, but out of the guys that you named, whether it's Grimes, McBride, Sims, IQ, Obi, I'm fine with any of them getting moved. Will it hurt? Absolutely. But I also know once I see Donovan Mitchell in a jersey, it's going to be like, oh, whatever happened. You know what I mean?
Cam is a non-issue for me, to be honest.
But I'm just saying,
That's
like,
not our
out of
guy.
all those guys, but I'm saying, like, out of, but I'm just saying, out of all those guys, I get all them being available. If it's a ranking of like guys I'd love to see here versus guys that I like from like the guys I want to keep the most to the least.
Who are you gonna be most upset about? That's your one.
It's gonna be IQ. It's IQ.
IQ is number one. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason for IQ.
Okay, go ahead.
The reason for IQ, just so everyone knows, is like, all right, I'll save it for last. Actually, it's IQ. It'd probably go Obi Toppin, Grimes, Sims, McBride, Cam.
I keep forgetting about Sims. Do you think he's really gonna go here? You think that's one of the
No, I don't think he's going.
Does it? I need to be more brushed up on my CBA, and I will soon. I promise you that. Can Sims even be traded? We just
no, not until December 15th.
Does that count? Does that count as like a full sign if you convert a two-way? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay,
so
that's perfect. Yeah. Thank God. Okay, so at least we keep Sims. Okay. You scared me putting him in. I haven't even thought about that. However, if we do trade for Mitchell, someone's got to change our number. I don't think it's going to be Donovan Mitchell. Sims is going to have a new number out there. But anyway, go ahead. So go ahead on your IQ.
So like the reason why IQ, and you can make an argument, people would tell me like, yo, Grimes is the one you got to keep out of the guards. And I'm like, I hear it too. For IQ, man, people give him, even you yourself, you've given him the Lou Will moniker. You know how important a six man is? You know how important it is to have a spark off the bench? You know how important it is to have another guy who can just handle the rock? Like out of all the guys that we have, like we just saw Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride has been struggling like to like blow by guys in the paint. He has to probably got on that Jalen Brunson plan and learning how to use his strength and his body to finish at different angles and just knowing how to get to his spots. But when I look at Emmanuel quickly, a guy who has quickness, who has speed, who can shoot, and is just like, once he's hot, like he's a legitimate microwave. Stuff like that, it's hard for me to give up, even though like I do like Grimes and I love his ability to be a tenacious defender and stuff like that. IQ's got to be, it's tough, man. It's tough because he's the first, like, even though he hasn't been dubbed the point guard, the first guard that we have that I'm like, oh, it's the closest thing we got to a point guard. Legitimately. And just even him doing that off the bench, it will hurt if you don't have that type of player off the bench. It just will. So that's why IQ. But who's your list, man? Who's your list that you'd be the most hurt seeing at number one, and then all the way down to like, I know it's Cam who's dead last, so I don't even need to ask that question.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's easier way to do it. So Cam is definitely last. Before him, I would go McBride. And then it gets dicey, right? Obviously, for the top three, there's IQ, Obi, and Grimes. I'm gonna agree with you with IQ being number one, dude, because losing him all you're going to be trying to do is replace him on the bench. It's going to be really big. It's going to be really a big problem, especially because we're matching salary here, right, for Mitchell. So like D Rose is going to have to go, and or Fournier. You know what I'm trying to say? Like somebody has to move. No matter how anybody feels about the players, they have to move. So if D Rose is gone, then literally you don't have a backup. So McBride's gone, D Rose is gone, and now IQ's gone. It's going to be really tough. And the prospect of having Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and IQ, that's what makes this team a contender, Max Kellerman. That's what makes this team a legitimate playoff team, man. That's what it is, because you want to cry about the defense, cry all you want about it. Okay? And we'll see how it works out. But you want to cry about the defense of Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and IQ, no problem. But for me, they could take over basketball games, especially in the regular season. Like we've seen IQ do it, especially when he's in his backup role, when he just goes and pops 5 threes, and then there's nothing a team can do to recover because the starters are coming back. IQ could close games. We saw that. If Jalen Brunson honestly can't handle the heat, I mean, I know he's a $104 million man, but if this is not his basketball game, which is going to happen, IQ can close that game. If Donovan Mitchell's not playing, IQ can close that game with Brunson. You know what I'm saying? I love that dynamic. So IQ, I think, will be a big loss for this team. I also believe that the second biggest loss for this team would be Quentin Grimes. Listen, man, shout out to KCDA, shout out to Jolito, who was really on point today in the Knicks spaces, where he said that, an honest truth, that the Knicks fans always fall in love with their guys and they screw themselves in the end. We brought it up that sometimes we don't want to deal players like Alonzo Trier and Iman Shumpert because we love them so much and we watch them and there's so much.
I know what you're doing. I'm
just saying there's so much development there. I'm scared to trade Grimes because I really like him. I'm okay to get rid of him, but I'm going to be really upset, man, because he's the second coming of Allen Houston. No matter what team he's on, I really do believe that. I don't think Allen Houston's a superstar. Okay, I just think he's really good. And I think that Quentin Grimes is also really good. He's more than a 3-and-D guy, but he has a stroke. He can cut in, and he's a really good defender, dude. He's like a poor man's Klay Thompson already. Like Klay Thompson coming out wasn't amazing. He became amazing. He also was playing with the best point guard, arguably, of all time, top 5, top 10, something, right? Like, one of the top point guards of our era. So it's easy to develop next to him. I do think Grimes is on that level, man. I think he could have a conversation with Allen Houston. I think he could have a conversation with Klay Thompson, and that's so important. I think he could start on our team. So it's hard to lose him as a shooting guard, and I totally understand why Utah wants him. So that's going to hurt as my number 2 for sure. I'm going to close it out with Obi. Listen, man, as much as I love the Matrix, as much as I love Obi Toppin, Obi Avengers, I know Blood the Panda is punching a wall somewhere with my picture on it, listening to me talk about, I'm not going to be too upset if Obi Toppin goes. But, dude, he's replaceable. That's the honest truth. He's replaceable. I think he's very good at basketball. I think he's really fun off the bench. And that's why I would rather trade 8 draft picks, literally, and keep my guys. Take Fournier and D Rose and 8 draft picks, and let me keep IQ, Grimes, and Obi, because that's a solid team with Julius Randle starting. That's solid for me. But I believe that you could Obi Toppin, you could replace him, man. You could, if you want to even Moneyball replace him, so nobody's too upset with me in the Knicks hive. You can Moneyball replace him with a power forward and Sims or something. It's fine. Everything is fine. Also, you got to put Melo in there, right? If Mitchell's coming here, we know that Melo's coming. So how amazing would that bench be, dude? IQ, Grimes, Melo, Obi, and Hartenstein/Sims. Like, that is just amazing to me. So, there's a part of me, man, I'm itching for that. I'm just itching for that team. Like Brunson, Mitchell, RJ, Randall, Robinson, and then that bench shooter behind them. I just don't want that to go away because we got Mitchell. I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, it's always not wanting to shoot ourselves in the foot, and I totally feel you on that. And then it would be McBride, then Reddish, right? That's how you're done the last.
Yeah, I expect McBride and Cam Reddish to get traded. I'm okay with it. Like, I love McBride. I honestly really do. He's my guy. I'm going to root for him everywhere. I hope he gets playing time. Honestly, I think he could go. I think if he goes to OKC, he could play well in that system. You know what I mean?
For sure. I got a question for you though, because let's change up these topics real quick. Because now we went on through we discussed earlier whether or not this is a do or die, and we just broke down the players and the draft picks to get a little bit more nuance in it. Do you think? Because I think the next thing for me is, does this team actually have a direction? You know what I mean? Because everyone's because that's kind of been the conversation between when you hear listen to Max Kellerman. Why you want to go trade for Donovan Mitchell? You're not a championship contender. That means you don't think this is a good direction to go get Donovan Mitchell. Then I listened to The Ringer. Shout out to Logan Murdoch and Roger Bell. They got a good podcast over there. I listened to them and they're like, well, the Knicks don't really have usually a direction when they're starting to do these things. I'm listening to this and I'm like, they do have a direction. The direction is they've been building through the draft. We know they don't want to be tanking. They want to have competitive basketball. And they want to go out and get their star. Now the moment is here where they can potentially get a star. So now they're going to try to get a star. And with that direction then moves from once you get said star, you figure it out afterwards because you still should have some assets. You still should be developing the players that you still have here. And you can maybe move them down the line to get more draft picks if you need to add through the draft, or you're still able to keep some of these players and you have a good team moving forward, or you're able to sign and trade for somebody else. So I think there is a plan here. Is every plan concrete where, what plan A, B, C, all the way down to Z is? No, because there's things in life that just throw a wrench in your way. And it's oh, this wasn't what I planned, but it's how do you bounce back from that? Right. I look at the Milwaukee Bucks and they're oh, we got our point guard in Eric Bledsoe. And then they see Eric Bledsoe not show up in the playoffs, and they're wow, we just paid this guy, and now we got to pivot. And they pivoted to Drew Holiday, and then next thing you know, they go win a championship, right? I look at the Toronto Raptors. They had a solid middle-of-the-pack playoff team, kept losing to LeBron James. The opportunity arose where it's we can't get past LeBron with just Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. We need something else. Oh, look at that. Kawhi Leonard's available. Why don't we pivot, trade our homegrown talent in DeMar DeRozan and go get him and see what happens? And they won a championship. That happens. You have to be able to pivot. I hate that there has to be there's this narrative where, they have to know from start to finish how it's all going to work out and how they're going to get somebody. No, they have a plan. And they're working with what they're being given on this board, and I see the plan. All right. We may not like the plan. We may not like how long it's taking. We may disagree with some of the things that have happened in between, but there definitely is a plan. Do you agree that that's the plan, or do you see a plan? Well, what are your thoughts?
I have a really annoying answer for you, but you kind of deserve it. It depends. It depends on the trade. It depends on the trade, Alex. It depends what the trade looks like. That's what shows us the direction of this team. If we trade a bunch of our players away and minimal draft picks, then we're honestly just building. We're still building because we're relying on our draft picks. We still have a bunch of other teams' draft picks. We got rid of some players for a star, and now we're able to lure that guy that you're talking about. Someone would be able to actually force their trade to New York. Not, hey, I'll give you a list. No, I want to come to New York and play with this team, with Mitchell, with Jalen, with, Mitchell Robinson too. Hopefully he's nice. RJ. That's where the direction, somebody like Karl Anthony Towns. Okay, I know he just signed the extension, and so he seems unreachable. Okay, but they just got Gobert. And they're going to have to, Anthony Edwards on the books. If in 2 years it's just not working out analytically with Towns and Gobert, maybe they keep Gobert because it's an impossible contract to sign. They traded 1 million draft picks for him. and they finally get rid of Towns. And maybe Towns is like, I'm going to New York. He's from the area. It's his, family's favorite team growing up. Of course, we know the CAA connection. Like, I get that direction. If they just trade a bunch of draft picks and they keep the players, the direction is, we think we're a real basketball team, especially in the Eastern Conference. Like, we get so convoluted where it goes, are they going to win the championship? No, I don't think that Jalen Brunson could beat Steph Curry in a one-on-one. And I think that, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are better than any two basketball players on our team. So no, I don't think that the Knicks are going to win the championship no matter what they do. Like, I just don't think that that's the next question. The next question is, can we compete? And the direction of this team, if we trade a bunch of draft picks, is we're trying to compete right now. If we trade a bunch of players, we're honestly still posturing for the future. We're keeping some draft picks in our pocket so that we can still get that guy, like you said, man, that Kawhi Leonard that comes, even if it's for a rental, not him specifically, but that rental player, even if it's like, dude, I'm not going to resign there, but I'll try it out for a year. You know what I'm saying? I have one more year left on my contract and we'll talk. That's the kind of guy that they could posture for, because he's not going to be, not 8 draft picks worth. He's going to be like a rental price, hopefully Kawhi price. Maybe even Drew Holiday price, which is fine. I know that's out, but at the time, Drew Holiday's trade was crazy. Now it's, nothing, right? Maybe it's a Ben Simmons type of trade. Maybe Ben Simmons is that last piece. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe he's not that expensive. Somebody like that. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to take a haul to get somebody, who maybe could just be a plug-in player. So it honestly depends on the trade. What I want the direction to be, in my humble opinion, is to just get rid of the draft picks, man. Just get rid of them. Get rid of the protected picks. Get rid of some of our picks and just keep the guys, dude. I love our 10. And Tibbs doesn't play more than 10 anyway. I love our 10, man. I don't care about tanking for Wembanyama. I just really don't care. Like, I really, really don't care. Just please, man. Please get Donovan Mitchell next to Jalen Brunson. But because I know it's going to happen, but don't get rid of our guys. I really don't want IQ and Grimes gone. I can bite the bullet on Obi. That's why he was my number 3. I could bite the bullet, especially because we have Randall. I know that sounds crazy too. People are screaming at me right now through their screens or, in their ears. Like, keep Randall, trade Obi. This guy's crazy. I know, but I'm telling you, if you trade Obi and Randall's there, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not on board with all that, but hey, it is.
I feel you.
I get it. I get it though. I get it. It's
I feel like people are going to shoot me in the head because I said Randall. I'm a Randall apologist. I get it. I totally understand, but Randall, in his past doesn't do the pick and roll, but Randall in his past never had a point guard. Like, that's always going to be the answer, man. When you have a point guard on the court that controls the court, it's just different. Like, you think if Chris Paul got on the court with this Knicks team right now, all of a sudden we're not going to run the pick and roll? Of course we are.
Let me tell you. Hold on. If Chris Paul was on this team, Julius Randle has essentially very minimal say, because Chris Paul is telling him what he's got to do. If that's not flying, he's out.
Because he runs the team, though. Because he's a point guard who runs the point guard system. It's his. When he has the ball, he's running it. And so I think Brunson's going to do that too, man. I really, honestly, truly do. And money talks. When you make the most money, you make the rules. That's just how it works with egos, especially when you're on a sports team and everyone's a millionaire. Everyone's making,
how big is a millionaire?
I'm saying at least a millionaire, but I'm saying they're, obviously he's making
I agree
more than just a little, but he can go to Randall and be like, bro, this is my team now. Like, you're on the trade block and they just signed me for $104 million. You know what I mean? Like, just shut your mouth. When Melo comes back, if and when Melo comes back to this team, you think Melo's going to be like demanding stuff? It's not his team. We're not, he's not coming home and we're not going to have, this crazy celebration. Like, yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun with it, but he's not going to be like, I need the ball. I need to start. No, he's going to know his place. He's going to be like, yo, Brunson, you make $104 million. Go do something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to have to defer to you. So I think all that stuff makes a huge difference, dude. And that's why I think Randall's going to be good in this lineup. Brunson, Mitchell, RJ, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson is a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference with a bench of
100%.
IQ, Grimes. I'm just gonna
I think
keep
that
putting
team
Melo
is
there.
I think
And Sims.
I think it's a top 5 team. I think not top 5 team. I think they can get the 5th seed max because
Just
I
give it a
still give
6. Yeah, we'll give it a 6. Whatever. Just give it a 6.
Nah, I'm gonna
because
say
that's
I'm gonna
playoffs.
say 5th, man. I really think they
Okay.
can get like if
Let's
you give me
go.
that lineup, I think that's 5th because
I like that.
look, I'm gonna give respect to the teams like I always give respect to. You gotta respect Philly, Bucks, Celtics, Heat, top 4 right there. You give me that Knicks team, they can easily compete for that 5th spot. Things would have to go right. A lot of things would have to go right, but they could easily do it. But hey, man, this has been a great conversation. It's been a great conversation. I think this is a good place to end it. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm so hyped. I'm gonna be at the Jalen Brunson presser tomorrow / today when you're listening to this. I'm a hype, dude. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to welcome our boy. I was gonna ask him a question about usage rates. I shut my mouth. I'm about to ask him about pick and rolls. I'm not gonna do it. It was gonna be in a positive way, with a positive spin to it, because I think it's gonna be fantastic. I think the people crying about Randall's usage rate should be ecstatic that Brunson's coming in and is begging for usage rate. I think the people that are crying about RJ Barrett's usage rate and how he doesn't finish at the rim and how he gets fatigued should be ecstatic that we'd be getting a Brunson in. I believe that those people should also be more ecstatic that Mitchell's coming in. Right? If you're so upset about Randall, if Mitchell comes in, of course, but if you're so upset about Randall and RJ's usage rate, and you're getting 2 people who want, demand high usage rate, like what's the problem? And Mitchell, he's been humbled, man. He's been humbled. You think that Donovan Mitchell comes in here like, oh, I'm the superstar. I'm about to drop 50 a night. Give me the ball. He did that. He had his fun, bro. He knows what it's like to drop 50 a night. He doesn't care. He can't win playoff games like that. He's matured, man. I'm ready for the mature Jalen Brunson. I'm ready for the mature Donovan Mitchell. I'm ready for the mature and paid RJ Barrett, not trying to do too much. I'm ready for the Julius Randle with finally no pressure on his back. Dude, like one thing I took from I was watching little snippets from the Derek Jeter documentary that's coming out. And I actually, you know what? This is a good full circle. It was actually on Desus and Mero. Like they did a clip, Desus and Mero previewing the captain. And they showed his they were like previewing the part where they're talking about his 3,000th hit and how he went, 5 for 5 that day with the game-winning RBI. And they showed his press conference and how he was like, Derek Jeter was like, I've been lying to you guys this whole time. There's so much pressure on me to perform at home. Like there's so much pressure. And this is the champion. This is the guy that could do no wrong. Like literally socially, he does wrong, like no problem. Right? Like on the field, if he does anything wrong, like no problem. Like this is our man. And he feels the pressure of New York, playing in New York. And I've been telling you that, man.
Gives the same gift basket to the same person he went on a date with. No problem.
Yeah, like we let that go. We let it all go. And I told you, I was telling you during the playoffs. I love Madison Square Garden. Season ticket, ticket holder, big, huge Knicks fan. We love the Knicks. It's scary in the Garden in the playoffs, man. Even for us, we made it hard on the Knicks in that Atlanta Hawks series, man. You could hear a pin drop when the Knicks have the ball. You know how tense that is? And then as soon as the Hawks have the ball, everyone's screaming "F you" and this. It was tense in there, bro. It was not a nice environment to play at home. And I wonder if Julius Randle finally is going to repair that. Can you give me that? You think he's finally going to repair that?
I don't know. I'm not going to answer that because I don't know, man. I don't know.
Come on, Alex. Come to this side before it's too late.
I'd rather be late. But hey, man, look, I get the pressure though. I get the pressure. Look, especially when you haven't been to the playoffs in like 8 years, bro. Of course, it's gonna be pins and needles. Of course, you can hear a pin drop. Of course,
he couldn't deal with the pressure, but he folded last year. He folded. He honestly did. He folded. He had a straight draw the whole day, the whole season, bro. He could have at any point
folded like a chair, bro. Man folded like a chair.
At any point, he could have changed his attitude, but it just didn't happen. Whatever. I think this year, man, with a point guard and Donovan Mitchell, no one's gonna even talk to him. No one's gonna even ask for a press conference for Randall. He's gonna be living the dream, bro. Go in there. You can get your minutes. No one's gonna complain about Obi because he's gonna get his minutes. You're going to get your, 20 points a game, no problem. 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Everyone's going to be excited. Dude, hopium is running through my veins right now if we get Mitchell and keep our guys. That's all I'll say.
Hopium will be at a stock high, all right? Where the price is going to be too high to purchase. But on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. You all know what to do. Please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. All right. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating. Please make sure to leave a review if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts. We're partnered with Minute Media and Fansite, so you can find this podcast on the Daily Knicks and the Jet Press. And we're also on YouTube, Knicks, Jets, etc. Period. So make sure to find that page, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you know when the new episode drops, and to leave a comment when you watch a video, and hit the like button. We also got another podcast over there, Winning Picks Weekly. John, producer Greg, our guy, co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every sport possible and tell you where to place your money on the line if you like sports betting, but make sure to do so responsibly. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. We out.
The vibes are immaculate, baby. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Jalen Brunson. Hopefully there's no birds around his head for this press conference. Shout out Adam Gase.